we are.
Well, I think they'd be crazy not to go there.
I'd be all over Sergina for the Arkle.
I think she's chronically overrated.
Well, here we are. That's right, we are back, ladies and gentlemen. Next Gen Racing is back on your screens. We're delighted to be back, myself and Jack Dawling. It has been a while. A lot has changed since the last episode that we've had. I've moved all the way up to the top of the country. I've changed positions. I've left the racing post. And Jack's still out there in Hong Kong. Jack, it's great to be able to chat with you. We've had a bit of a catch-up before this call, but how are you?
It gives me the greatest pleasure to be back on the call with you, Sam. It's fantastic. I was about 6,000 miles away from you, from Hong Kong to down south near Goodwood, and it's just you've added on a couple of 100 miles since we last spoke. You're up there in Leeds, of course, with your new job. I'm well, and I can't wait to get into some action.
Absolutely. I've come away from hosting the Racing Postcards. Really enjoyed doing that, but coming back on and doing a new horse race, well, not a new horse racing preview show, but bringing this one back with a little bit of an extra twist now. That's what we've decided to do for 2025. A bit about what the new channel is going to look like and what the show is going to look like each week moving forward. What we'll do is do a quick review of any of the key news topics or any of the big race reviews that have gone on over the last week. Then what we'll do is we'll preview some of the big races each week. We won't be previewing all of the ITV races. Jack and I will handpick some of the best races each weekend. We'll then have any other selections away from that. That'll be a quick, short, sharp segment where we'll preview any other races away from the ones that we've previewed. Jack and I will then give an international racing preview. Obviously, Jack out in Hong Kong. He'll give some great selections out in Hong Kong. And I may have a few out in Dubai during the winter season. And then we'll give our best bet and then we'll outro the show. So really looking forward to bringing that concept to you guys each week here on the Next Gen Racing YouTube channel. So Christmas has been and gone. We're heading into 2025, but let's just have a quick recap of what's happened over the Christmas period and some of the key performances, Jack. And I suppose we should start off with Nicky Henderson. The most talked about horse in training is Constitution Hill. He came back in the Christmas hurdle, beating Lossiemouth, who Willie Mullins seems to think was a bit of an out of sorts Lossiemouth, but Constitution Hill, take nothing away, we may have seen him back to his best.
Yeah, definitely. There were a few nice feel-good performances over Christmas. Constitution, I'd say, he blew off the cobwebs and then blew away his rivals. It was nice to see the Constitution evolve. He probably, as Nico said, wasn't exactly 100%, but look, he showed all of that joie de vivre when he was back. I think 52.91 seconds he came home in his last final 4 furlongs. It was about a second and a half slower than his last half mile last year, but hey, it's probably not worth all that much, but he was about 7 seconds quicker than he was when he won it in 2023. So it was a monstrous performance, and it's just great to see him back.
Absolutely. He's shortened in for the Champion Hurdle market. We'll talk about the full market briefly in a second, Jack, with regards to some other horses. But we can talk now just briefly about Constitution Hill's what we could have called replacement at the start of the season. That was Sir Gino, who now goes back over fences. He won the Wayward Lad, beating Ballyburn. Now, that, in my opinion, was a more impressive performance than Constitution Hill. I mean, if you were telling me now who's back as a favourite for Cheltenham, would I back Sir Gino for the Arkle or Constitution Hill for the Champion Hurdle? I'd be all over Sir Gino for the Arkle. That was exceptional.
Yeah, I couldn't disagree at all. I mean, you obviously have to be a little bit wary if you're going in and getting stuck into Constitution Hill this far out, of course, when he's been taken out of a few races previously. But look, Sir Gino jumped exceptionally and, I mean, put the race to bed in really good style. Ballyburn, probably, it was a little bit sharp for him on the ground as well. So you probably have to take it with a tiny little pinch of salt. But look, he's very exciting and hopefully he'll go and win the Arkle in good style.
Absolutely looking forward to Sir Gino for the rest of this season. And the big one on Boxing Day, I say the big one, it wasn't really the star-studded lineup in the King George that we're used to. It wasn't the best quality. You may disagree with me on this, Jack, but in terms of the fact the French came over, they probably targeted it thinking it was a weaker race. And we saw Ile Francais, who obviously won that novice race last season at Kempston on Boxing Day in easy style, come over and put in a performance that looked like it was going to be ultra impressive. Steady fractions out in front, left the field behind for the majority of the race, but was just mowed down by a horse who seems to be loving the flat tracks in Banbridge. What did we make of the King George this year?
It was a little bit underwhelming, to be honest. I don't know if that's going to be an unpopular thing to say. As you say, the quality, was it quite there? I probably wouldn't say so. But look, I mean, Ile Francais is an absolute joy to watch out in front, isn't he? some of the angles that the camera went to, watching him jump some of those fences, absolutely pinged them round Kempton. But he didn't actually go all that quick. I mean, I think he still finished at 103% finishing speed. So it was a shame that he didn't quite see it out. Banbridge going forward, I'm going to have to see him see it again. Easy for me to say, over the 3 miles before I can get a lot of confidence behind him. At the moment, I'm just thinking it's a below par King George, but we'll wait and see.
Absolutely, couldn't agree more on that one. And then over in Ireland, Jack, just a couple of performances just quickly to mention. We'll start with Galopin de Champs. He obviously won his big race there, beating Factor File, and now goes potentially on to go for that third Gold Cup at Cheltenham. It'd be amazing to see. Do you think that's going to be the case? Do you think we are going to see a third Gold Cup from GDC?
Oh, you'd hope so, wouldn't you? Look, he clearly loves Leopardstown. He jumped there absolutely beautiful that day. I'd say that was the second leg of the feel-good results over the weekend, but it was just great to see him back in full force. Of course, he needed that John Durkham run quite clearly, but it was nice to see him go to the front and do it in good style and kick clear.
Absolutely. And the final performance that we just briefly mentioned is Brighter Days Ahead beating Stateman. I mean, Stateman was well back in third, actually. Winterfog was in second, but Brighter Days Ahead put in a hell of a performance. This is where I just want to bring up talk about the champion hurdle market. Currently, Constitution Hill, we've mentioned earlier, is 8 to 11 best price. You then got 11 to 2 about Brighter Days Ahead, 7 to 1 about Lossiemouth, and then Stateman, last year's winner, is now 11 to 1, much bigger than the rest, which is crazy to say, Jack. I kind of think that Bright Days Ahead, a young improving horse, I'm not saying he's going to be the level of Constitution Hill or where we thought Constitution Hill was going to be, but definitely getting the £7 a race like that, if going for that race and not going for the mares, it's quite an appealing price.
Yeah, if you were going to ask me to back one of them right now, even anti-post, bearing in mind Brighter Days Ahead might be going to the Mares Hurdle, I'd still back for the Champion Hurdle. I think they'd be crazy not to go there. I really do. I think exactly what she needs is a well-run 2 miles. I mean, they went quick early. They finished at about 98% finishing speed, I think. And the 2 miles around Cheltenham, if Gordon can chuck in another pacemaker like he did at Leopardstown, I think it's absolutely perfect for her. The last thing that they'd want is a crawl over 2.5 miles and then for them to sprint like they did in the Mares Novice Hurdle. It's exactly what she doesn't want. I think she even took a little bit of a keen hold over a quickly ran 2 miles as well at Leopardstown. So I think they'd be absolutely crazy, to be honest. I dread to think that they're gonna go for the mares. Hopefully they do turn around and go for the Champion Hurdle. But I think Constitution, he's not there to be shot at, of course. But look, who knows if she can't improve? Perhaps not past him, of course, but perhaps go somewhere within his level where he perhaps isn't at right now.
Yeah, absolutely. Again, I couldn't agree with you more on that. And Constitution Hill, like I say, Michael Buckley's come out and said, look, he was never injured and everything was wrong. But look, there was something wrong. There was an issue leading up to that last run, and we know that. And what's to say that couldn't happen again? God forbid, we hope it doesn't happen again, but, it could happen again. So it's an awfully short prize. I think as short as 2 to 1 on with some bookmakers, Constitution Hill, which is awfully short for a race like that this far out, even though we're 3 months away. But yeah, it was a fantastic Christmas period. It's great to have our viewers back. Jack, let us know down in the comments who your favourite performance over the Christmas period is. We're keen to hear who you liked, and we'll also be keen to hear who your best bet is for the New Year's action. And that's where we head now, Jack. We've handpicked 3 races from Cheltenham on New Year's Day to preview, and we start off with the 205, which is a handicap chase. This is over 2.5 miles, a Class 1 handicap chase, where Gemeron, the December Gold Cup winner, is currently the 100 to 30 favourite. Colonel Harry's 4 to 1, Springwell Bay 9 to 2. Then a big jump here to Lismount Lad, who's 10 to 1, along with Midnight River. Marble Sands 11 to 1. Hitman and Lounge Lizard 12 to 1. And Seddon, course and distance winner, is 22 to 1. The easiest place to start is with Gemeron, who's obviously won the December Gold Cup, it can be a good prep for this race. But there are plenty of course and distance winners in here, Jack, who will like the course. Who did we like in our opening race that we're previewing?
It's a pretty tricky race. You've got, of course, the 12-year-old plate winner, Seddon. Of course, the winner of this 2 years ago, Midnight River in there as well. The 10-year-old, I think you've got quite a bit of pace as well on there. Gemeron's probably going to go forward. Springwell Bay, Colonel Harry, Lisnamolt Lad, Hitman, and even Midnight River. I think it could turn into a bit of a test, especially if the rain does come. Gemeron was impressive, but I do think he got his own way in front last time out. And I know Springwell Bay ran a day after Gemeron. The ground was slightly better that day when Springwell Bay ran, but he carried £24 more and came home around 14 lengths quicker than Gemeron. It was a little bit more of a test in the middle part of the race. Springwell Bay's jumping was definitely tested, and I'd happily take her on Gemeron with Springwell Bay, but I'd probably actually side with Colonel Harry, and I think he just looks like he's ready to put his best foot forward in these conditions. He went well for quite a long way in the Coral Gold Cup when he was clearly too keen and didn't stay. I liked his reappearance behind Marble Sands at Carlisle. He gives me the impression he's better than a rating of 146. A novice, he ran in 4 Grade 1s, including the Turners here, and it probably went a little bit unnoticed, but yes, he was miles out the back, but he kind of found a second win and actually flew home at the end of the Turners. He came home, I think, in just over 16 seconds for the final furlong, which is about 7 lengths quicker than Grey Dawning and around 4 lengths quicker than anything else in the race. So I think he looks like he is ready to strike in a race off a workable mark like 146, but I'd probably put it between him and Springwell Bay, and I'll side with Colonel Harry just because I know he's around the 5-1 mark.
Yeah, no, Colonel Harry, a lot of people had him done as a sure thing for the Coral Gold Cup, didn't they? They thought it was a really good bet, but maybe just this is going to suit him and has been well supported. Like I say, now 4-1, currently best price. The one that really interests me, Jack, was the one that won this race last year in Midnight River. I don't really need to talk about the Skeltons in too much detail this season, who have just been absolutely flying. Obviously, Dan Skelton going for that trainer's title, but he won this race last year for a mark of 145 and then shot up the weight throughout the season. Last December in the Coral Cup ran off a mark of 156 and has now been dropping back down, gone down to a mark of 153, 151, and now comes in here off a mark of 148. So only £3 higher than he was last year in this race. I know he's the oldest horse in this race and one of the old boys, but he's a course and distance winner who will go well around this course. We know that. And 10-1, there has been a bit of money for this horse as well. He's off a high weight, but I think this is a fairly big price. I do agree, Colonel Harry at the top of the market. I think Gemeron, this might be a bit too much. I know he's on the hat trick here, but I do think Colonel Harry might be the one at shorter prices. And it's worth giving a mention to Hitman. I'm not sure what the full plan is for Hitman throughout the season. He's in off top weight off 156. Now, he was a bit of a cliff horse throughout the whole of the next gen kind of couple of years that we were running, Jack. We know that. And I almost said that he wasn't quite a Cheltenham horse, but he then proved that wrong by running third in the Ryanair in 2023 behind Mbwalen and Shishkin. I just think that he's a horse that is worth watching because I've been intrigued to know what the plan is for this horse. This might be a too stiff a task off a mark of 156, but I'd keep an eye on Hitman, who he could end up winning a big race this season. It may be at Aintree. They may come back to Cheltenham for a big race, but we'll wait and see with regards to him. So I'll be with Midnight River. Jack will be with Colonel Harry in the 205. The next race we look at is the 240, the 3-mile Handicap Hurdle Class 2 event where One Big Bang is currently the 5-2 favourite. Strachan's 9-2. Catch Him Derry is 11-2. Oh, God, good luck with this one, even with my French. Idefix de Chierge is currently priced at 13-2. I think I've given that a good go, Jack, but I'll let you give it a go if you fancy it. What a Johnny's 15-2, 9-1 about Deep Cave, and we're looking at bigger prices the rest of the field. I God hope that you really like this horse, Jack, because I'd love to see you try it as well. The ones to talk about, Jack, the ones at the top of the market. One Big Bang's obviously been banging on the door for James Owen in his last 2 runs, and against a horse in Strachan who's been hitting the nail on the head in his last 2 runs. Where do we go this way?
Oh, it's a tricky little race, isn't it? The race at Haydock's a really interesting one to look at because it was an absolute bog. They came home, only 5 finishers came home at 96% finishing speed. I think the one Big Bang is the most likely winner. Phantom of the Points nearly went and enhanced that form over the weekend. But I think it's Deep Cave that actually intrigued me the most. Started off with Henry de Bromhead after hacking up in his point-to-point over 3 miles. Beats the likes of A Lot of Joy, Firm Footings, Grange Clare Western. We've all been caught over hurdles. Went to France, ran a few times over there. Has then come back now with Christian Williams. He clearly has a couple of problems going on there. But last time out, he ran over 3 miles here, managed to finish 5th. He was the first off the bridle, but he plugged on pretty well, actually, when he had no right to finish really in 5th there. He was probably going to be tailed off. The ground was probably a little bit too fast for him. I reckon he's going to like the ground now. 3 miles won't be a problem. And he's just in a bit of an enigma in here. And I'd like to think he's better than his current mark. And if you can get a double-figure price about him, I'd probably say Deep Cave's where I'm going to lean to.
Yeah, It's crazy to say you mentioned a few bits on my notes there, but Deep Cave for me is definitely the
Mm.
interesting one here, Jack. You wouldn't often know Christian Williams for one that gets ready for handicaps at Cheltenham. He often gets horses ready for, these big staying chases and stuff like that all around the country. But at Cheltenham, over hurdles, you wouldn't necessarily associate him with a horse that would be like this. But this seems to be the horse that he's been plotting for these handicap hurdles. And this horse, I'm looking at the Racing Post website at the moment, 25 to 1, 12 to 1, 11 to 1, 9 to 1. This horse has been well supported again for this race off of a mark of 130. And Christian Williams, after 2 runs, will have this horse ready, I'd imagine, for a race like this. I do think One Big Bang, this horse, like I say, has been banging on the door, One Big Bang. But I've looked at his last 2 runs, and that run behind Shoot First and that Stayers Handicap Hurdle at Haydock, I was definitely intrigued by that horse in that race and thought, he's going to turn up in one of these races. I just think that this horse will end up being a decent stayer in time. He is 7 years old, but I do think he's got improvement in him, and he's off a mark of 127 here. So I think One Big Bang will take the beating, but Deep Cave each way, there's definitely value in that, in my
Yeah,
opinion.
just quickly, Sam, as well. What did you think of that Haydock race? Because I was trying to weigh it up, and there were 5 finishers. They came home in a bog. I don't know whether to kind of put a line through it or take it pretty literally in terms of a stout stayer.
Exactly, that's what I mean. I mean, Shoot First was obviously very impressive in that race, but what did you expect at Haydock? It was going to be an absolute slog, and it usually is in that race, to be fair. And we have seen some decent horses win that race, and I just think that you have seen some stout stayers, come out of that race, and I think he's definitely one of them. I do think he's got improvement in him. I do think he will take another step forward. So he's the one that I think could go and win this, but I do think Deep Cave, I agree with you on the fact that he's the most interesting runner in this field. I think he could be one for these handicap hurdles. If it's not this one, he is going to turn up in a decent handicap hurdle at some point before the end of this season. So do keep an eye on Deep Cave. Let's preview one more race quickly then, Jack, which is the big one in terms of graded action. It's the Reelkeel Hurdle, a grade 2 over 2.5 miles, 3:15 at Cheltenham. And the market currently looks like this. Lucky Place is 3 to 1. Golden Ace is 7 to 2. Salva is 7 to 2. We'll talk about the horse who's next in the market at 7 to 1 in a second. Gal Road's 11 to 1, 16 to 1 about Thunder Rock, and Twig is 35 to 1. So what I did, Jack, just before Christmas, when we were discussing whether we bring Next Gen Racing back, I was like, I know who to call, right? I'll call Dan Skelton. So I called him up and went, Dan, Next Gen Racing is returning. He went, perfect. When are you coming back? I went, just before New Year's Day. And he went, right, I'll enter Langadan into the Reelkeel Hurdle just to make it worthwhile. And Jack, your horse, the horse that has just, I don't even know how to describe what this horse has done for you. Langadan is back in action. Off you go.
Yeah, it is funny, isn't it? We're away for a couple of years. We come back, and the beloved Langadan is coming back. And look, I really do think it's actually head over heart that I say you can't let him go on back to 7 to 1 here. I just think he is actually just genuinely so much better than everything else in the race. And I think I speak from more of an objective point of view. I hope I do anyway. Look, he's £11 clear of everything else in the field. He's £15 clear of Lucky Place and getting £2 from him. He should get conditions in his favour with a bit of rain about. The Skelton team actually have to try with him this year and are going to. And look, if he bombs out because it's early in the season, fair play. But if he actually genuinely shows 80% of his ability, he has the potential to win this by 5-10 lengths if he's anything like he was at the end of last season. And hey, look, you got the likes of Golden Ace there and Lucky Place, the improving younger horses. They're of course going to be attractive to punters. But I just think Langadan, if he shows 70 or 80% of what he is, of course it's the biggest if on the planet. What's it going to be? Ulcers? Who knows why he might not turn up? But he's running over a course that he loves and ground in his favour. And I just think 7 to 1 is absolutely ludicrous.
Yeah, a lot of people after his win last season obviously thought, that's it, we'll wait until next season, he'll do this all over again. But he then ran that mighty race, didn't he, like you say, against Impere Pass and Bob Ollinger at Aintree, which was probably one of the best performances he's ever put in. It was really impressive, and he went off a big pricing around 18 to 1 that day. But like you say, he has the ability. He is not just a handicap horse. He is a graded horse when he wants to be. So it'll be interesting to see what we get out of him here. And he's a big price in a field that it's not the best quality by all means. There could be a star emerging in here. We'll have to wait and see. Salva's the one that's had money come for this horse. Gary and Josh Moore. Kaelin Quinn is aboard this horse. Let's not forget this horse was exceptional at the Chepstow meeting last season in their juvenile hurdle and then ran on third into the Triumph hurdle against some decent horses in there. We saw this horse in a handicap hurdle at Newbury at the start of the season. Hasn't quite worked out, but the ground wasn't where this horse wants it. This horse wants soft ground. Now, currently, we've got the ground described as soft. Whether it stays that way, I don't know. I don't know what kind of weather we've got. But if it does stay soft, this horse will probably go and win this race. I think he's a very good horse, but he needs soft ground. I just think they wanted to get a run into him before this race at Newbury. So I'd be very interested in this horse. I do prefer Golden Ace over Lucky Place. I thought Golden Ace, in terms of the run, that last run at Ascot, I did think that Lucky Place kind of got a bit lucky in some ways with what happened in that race, because Golden Ace did travel really strongly and was probably just not match fit. Remember, Golden Ace is the horse that beat Brighter Days Ahead in the Mayor's Novice Hurdle at Cheltenham last season. So I know that Lucky Place has beaten Golden Ace in the race prior, but I just think that could be reversed here. So Golden Ace would be one for my forecast here. I think it's going to be Salva beats Golden Ace, beats Langadan. That's how I see it, Jack. I don't know if there are any others on your list that you wanted to give a mention to, or others that you were interested in potentially backing in a forecast with Langadan.
No, I think I'm going to lay Golden Ace for a place.
Really?
I think she's chronically overrated. I really do. I think everything went perfect for her, and it was an absolute sprint in the Mayor's Novice Hurdle over 2 miles. And then that race in April was just, I know why not's going to gone and won since, but I really don't think it's anything. And look, you can just stick a line through her beating Brighter Days Ahead. Her reappearance was below par, to say the least. Look, she was only beaten 2 lengths, and I appreciate that. But I just think she's really overrated, and I think Lucky Place is just a much better horse. He was 4th in the Coral Cup. I think he's got a much more scope to improve. I think Golden Ace is probably a 2-miler running here in over 2.5, if I'm being honest. So yeah, I'm probably going to lay her for a place. Gal Road, I think, has to have a mention. He's just as consistent as ever in these big handicaps, and he's rated 146. They've chosen to come here instead of the 3-mile Handicap Hurdle. They've probably done that for a reason, but I think he's a consistent horse. Salva, I understand that. I think he probably needs a little bit of a bog, though, Sam, if I'm being honest. And I think he's got to improve. And as I say, I think it's between Lucky Place and Langadan, the yellow and blue. And if Langadan's not up to it, then I think Lucky Place will be winning, and I think Golden Ace won't really be in contention at the finish.
Wow. Surprised to hear that. I do think Golden Ace could still be top class. But look, what do I know? We'll wait and see come New Year's Day.
I know as well. So there we go.
I've been asking myself that question since we started this channel. And now we're back doing it all over again. Right, so there we go. They're the 3 big races previewed that we're going to, like we say, we'll handpick those each week. If there are any races that you think we should have added, then let us know. Any types of races you want us to preview, or you want us to preview more handicaps over the graded races, let us know. We will read every comment that goes down below. Is there anything else, Jack, away from the 3 races that we've previewed that you were looking at? Is there anything else on the cards? Not necessarily at Cheltenham, could be elsewhere on New Year's Day.
Musselburgh. We're going up to Musselburgh, the 220 at Musselburgh on New Year's Day. Boomslang is 9-2 for that race. Steps up in grade after a solid win last time out. Going right-handed is clearly the key for Boomslang, and I think he has more to give up in grade off a lighter weight. So Boomslang at 9-2 in the 220 at Musselburgh.
220 at Musselburgh on New Year's Day. Boomslang, so look out for that one from Jack. Right, now time to introduce the international racing segment. Obviously, like I say, we've got Jack out in Hong Kong. We've got my love of the racing out in Dubai. I've got nothing out in Dubai, but Jack, there's some big racing out in Hong Kong on New Year's Day. Tell us more.
Yeah, there's a couple of Group 3 races out at Shartin on New Year's Day. You got the Group 3 Bohemia Trophy over the minimum trophy of 1,000 miles, the straight course at Shartin. And you've got a Group 3 over 7 furlongs. Looking at the race over 5 furlongs or 1,000 metres, I think Cody Moe's Magic Control looks definitely the one to beat. Was pretty impressive, beating the highly touted Wunderbar, who Zach Burton's usually on board last time out. Drawn kindly, I think, will be able to dictate from the front and is bound for bigger and better things. It's a nice weight swing as well with Beauty Waves, who just got the better of Magic Control in October. And the Group 3 over 7 furlongs is a good race, actually. You got the likes of California Spangle carrying top weight of 135 pounds. Beauty Joy, the ever consistent Beauty Joy, and quite a few down there at minimum weight of 115 pounds. Of course, California Spangle is probably where the market is going to head to, but I think down at the bottom weight there, Drombeg Banner is the one that I'm probably going to side with. Also, Chu Chao Spirit. I'll probably take both of those depending on the prices of them. If they're around the 8 to 10 to 1 mark, I think Chu Chao Spirit will probably be a little bit shorter. But Chu Chao Spirit went off odds on for a Group 3 towards the beginning of the season, but the ground was just too soft for him. He ran really well last time out, giving some weight away to some exciting classic series horses. I think Chu Chow Spirit can go close, and John Bake Banner will be dictating from the front. He's been going really well of late, and I think he can continue to do that off bottom weight. So there's John Bake Banner and Chu Chow Spirit in the Group 3 over 7 furlongs, and Magic Control, I think, will take all the beating as a short price favourite in the Group 3 Bohemia Trophy.
And there we go. A couple of horses from Jack there out in Hong Kong on New Year's Day. So look out for them as well. Quite nice having a bit of an international racing segment and a little bit of flat action as well. I say that we're counting down. It's not actually too long until the Lincoln will become. It's not, it is. I mean, what?
How have we got the Lincoln and Langadan into the first episode?
Do you know what I've totally done? I've moved to Leeds so that I can actually be just slightly close to the Lincoln. So I'm probably actually going to go for the first time to the Lincoln this season, Doncaster. That would be ideal. So, right, that's it in terms of the selections. Let's just quickly give our best bet, Jack. Doesn't necessarily have to come from the races that we've previewed, but I'm going to go for one that we've previewed. I'm going to go for the 205, that Handicap Chase on New Year's Day, and Midnight River for me at 10-1 will be my best bet. I think he's back down to a mark where he could go really well in this. So yeah, Midnight River for me in the 205. And Jack, your best bet this week?
His price will probably dictate before the off how he's going before the race, but Langadan should not be 7-1 for the Reelkeel Hurdle. So he's going to be my best bet of the first weekend back.
I told you that we're back. Jack's tipping up Langadan on the first show that we come back. We are fully back now. And that's it for this week's show. We're going to aim to be back every Thursday. We'll confirm a time. You'll see that on our social media pages. You'll see a little bit more on our social media pages with some clips and little questions that will come out each week on there. So do look out for that. But until then, thanks for watching. Great to be back. Do gamble responsibly, and we'll see you again next week.